Love it. All right. Number 6. Through -2, -4, perpendicular to -1/9 x. So this is going to be my x. This is going to be my y. And this one, we need a perpendicular slope. Do you guys remember what to do when it's perpendicular? Reciprocal and change the sign. Yes. Okay. So I'm going to flip this and make it positive. So it's going to be +9. And think about like +9 over 1. X equals -2. Y equals -4. Y equals mx plus b. -4 equals 9 times -2 plus b. Whole numbers, my favorite. -4 equals -18 plus b. -14 equals b. Y equals 9x plus 14. Did anyone else get 14 when they did the problem on their own? Just checking. Because you know how I am, prone to mistakes over here. Forgot my X yesterday. Um, in first period, I did not forget something, but I counted something wrong. It was at 2 and I put 1 because I was counting the boxes over and like the little tick marks looked the same and the axis wasn't dark enough. And anyway, it wasn't like a just I forgot though. It was just anyway. Okay, moving on. All right, so fraction buster, what's the least common denominator in this one? I have 8, 2, and 32. 32. Okay, let's see if Mrs. Talbot can do this one properly. Times 32, times 32, times 32, times 32. Okay, so 32 times 5, I've got to remember that it's negative, and I got to remember there's an R on that one. I got this. Zoom in and actually see it. Okay, and 32 times 1 is 32. And 32 times 1 is 32, and it's over 2, and there's not an equals there, Mrs. Talbot. That's not an equals. Yep, but I found it. Plus, and there's an R on that one. Okay, and then 25. What? 25 times 32 is 800 over 32. Whew. At least it was while I was using erasable pen. Okay, so -160 over 8. I know that's -20. 32 divided by 2. I know that's 16, but I don't know what this is. Oh, duh. It's 25 because the 32's cancel. I didn't even need to. Oh, wow. You know what I'm going to do tomorrow morning? Sleep in. Sleeping in. Oh, that's cool. Okay. Combine -4R plus 32 equals 25 minus 32. And the two negatives cancel and it becomes +7 over 4. If you guys did this one on your own, you might have gotten 1.75. But I like to leave it in fractions because the problem's in fractions. Okay, we are actually done with the packet, so you can put the packet away or just to the side. Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to do the sulfide graphing again. I just want to walk back here. What? Stop it. You wrote something on the whiteboard? Weird. Uh, no, unlikely. Okay. So there's three different types of answers for these sulfide graphing. So remember we did like the trees yesterday. So the lines can cross, then you find the point of intersection, that's the answer. If they don't cross, they're parallel, that means it's no solution. And if they end up being exactly the same line, so I sort of drew one and then dashed one over top of it to try to show that there's two lines there, then it's infinite solutions and they're the same line. So I'm just gonna leave that up there for the rest of the chapter so you can see what the difference is between the three types of answers we might get. And then we're going to start solving systems algebraically with equal values method. Today's is very easy, easy, nice day. Um, Homework is 38 to 43. And here's my joke. It says, looks like we found a square root. Square root. It's kind of rectangular, but still. Anyway, okay. Now, next thing I need to tell you is that I don't like the books number 35 and 36. So I made up my own 35 and 36. But before we read those, I will have you set up your notebook for 35 and 36. But if you're a person that follows in CPM, it's not going to match for 35 and 36 because those are dumb. Not dumb. Dumb's not the word. Just not, it's not even that. It's just not helpful. Like, as far as teaching goes. Okay, I'm gonna give you a ample amount of time to get this situated. Mhm. Don't worry, none of this is hard though. I have a weird question. Are Joe and Steve the Blues Clues guys? Okay, that's I just couldn't get my mind off of it when I like started reading this problem. Is Steve the first one and then it was Joe, or is it the other way around? Uh, it's been a minute since I The one in UK is named Kevin. Oh, okay. You let me know when we have a non like white man name. All right, you guys sound ready. Okay, so I have Joe and Steve here, and now I'm going to show you the problem that I chose instead of the book problem. Okay, Joe and Steve are saving money. Joe starts with $105 and saves $5 per week. Okay, so we're going to write an equation for Joe, and his is going to be like y equals mx plus b. So on your paper next to Joe, write y equals. Okay, now what is the, yes,
5x plus 105.
yeah, okay, great. So $5 per week is the slope because that's how much it's going up each week. And 105 is his start, so that's B. Okay, so y equals 5x plus 105. Okay, Steve's quite the, I mean, Joe's quite the saver. I have to be honest with you, if this problem was about Mrs. Talbot, it would be negative slope because I'm a spender. I'm not good with I have $1 in my pocket and I have to figure out what to spend it on. Like I'm not good at saving. Yeah, I can't. I'm terrible. Okay, anyway, Steve starts with $5 and saves $15 per week. Okay, so Steve's start is 5, so that's B, and $15 per week is the slope. Y equals 15x plus 5. Okay, next thing we're going to do is graph these with the ruler. So this is going to be called solve by graphing. Try to be careful with your graph because we're going to try to find out where they cross, like what coordinate. Okay, so 105. So let's start with Joe. So 105. And each of these boxes is 10. So up 5 over 1, up 5 over 1. You see what I'm doing? So like this is 5 because it's 105 to 110. And then over 1. And then up 5 over 1. You guys with me? Okay. Do they both wear like the green striped rugby shirt?
Mhm.
Okay, now Steve starts at 5, which is down here, and goes 15, up 15 over 1. So go up to 20. So it's like a box and a half. Up 15 over 1. Up 15 over 1. I did this wrong. There's my mistake. I finded it. Finded. Don't think that's a word either. There we go. Okay, so I'm just gonna take my ruler here and use it to help me figure out what the solution is, because that coordinate's way far up there. Um, how many weeks is it? 10. And can you tell from the picture how much money they both have? 155. Great. Okay. So we're gonna do a couple of things. First, we're gonna label this. And we're gonna put the answer there. Okay, we have a quiz next week. And on the quiz next week, I'm going to ask you to solve a system like this. It might be by graphing, it might be by equal values method, which we're gonna do in a second. But the answer is the coordinate point. Unfortunately, my sweet, loving students who are amazing will do all the super hard work, and they'll find the equations and they'll graph them and they'll have the little point, and they won't label the final answer, which is the coordinate where they stopped. They'll get all the way to the end and then they won't write the final answer. And I'm gonna say this now, and I'm hopefully going to remind you to write the final answer about 50 times between now and the quiz, but there will still be like 10 people in here who forget to write the final answer. It's just my prediction.
What else is on the quiz?
I will tell you, don't worry. But just want to remind you, the final answer is the coordinate point where they cross. So you get like -1 really sad point. You did all this work and just didn't write it. Okay, now for C, we're going to say, we're going to write a sentence, a conclusion sentence after 10 weeks. They will both have $155. So that's what this problem is determining. Okay, now, I don't know about you. There are certain people in the room who are visual. There are other people in the room who like algebra. I'm an algebra person. I prefer not to graph it if I didn't have to. Really nice. So what I'm going to do is show you how to solve this without graphing. And we're going to call it equal values method. That's great. I love that. Okay. Now, equal values method is used when you have two equations and they're both equal to the same letter. So the top equation is equal to y. The second equation is equal to y. So what that means is I can equal them to each other. So I can say 5x plus 105 equals 15x plus 5. Okay, let me say that again. Since they both equal y, they equal each other. Since they both equal y, they equal each other. Okay, now solve. Okay, I got x is 10. Does that make sense with my solve by graphing solution? Yes, because this is the X and this is the Y. So X is 10. So what do you think we're going to do in B then? Solve for Y. Okay, so what we need to do is take our 10 and plug it in. You can plug it into either one of these two. You're going to get the same answer either way. I picked the one that has the easier numbers. Which one do you like better, the first one or the second one? Pick which one you like. I like the second one. So Y equals 15x plus 5. So I take my X is 10, plug it in like a function machine. Okay. Now, as wonderful as that is, I would not get full credit for this answer because I didn't write the final answer, which is 10, comma 155. Yes, sir. Well, what happens if you get, what did you get on the other equation? So either one should work because it's where they're equal. Now, if you want to be extra careful and check your answer, then yes. So we call that as a check, but you don't have to. It depends, not necessarily. So it depends on the directions. If it says solve by graphing and there's a graph there, you have to do graphing. If it says solve, then you can do any which way you want. Yep. And that's one of those great things about this is the type of problem you can check your work before you walk away from it on a quiz or test and know that it's correct. Okay, so we're going to do one more of these. Most of these will not be word problems, but I like to get you going with word problems. Okay. Taylor and Morgan would like to spend some time on the river while camping with their family. Taylor wants to rent a two-person kayak. There is a $5 setup fee for kayak rentals, and then kayaks are rented at $8 per hour. Okay, which one of those is the slope, the 5 or the 8? 8. You can tell because it's a rate per hour. Okay, and then the $5 setup fee is just one time. It doesn't happen every time. So Y equals 8x plus 5. $8 per hour, $5 setup fee. Morgan notices the sign below and says, look, a canoe is actually cheaper if we rent one for a long enough period of time. I don't really like canoes though. Kayaks are way better. I don't even care if it costs more. Anyway, just say, you like a canoe better? I can't steer a canoe. Like you have to like steer backwards. Yes, anyway. Yeah. So like kayak, yeah,
It's the paddle.
yeah, it's the like,
One.
yeah, hold on. Like kayak has like the one stick with the, oh, here we go. This is an excellent picture. How do I make this picture bigger? Like, I can't do it. They hate me. Computers hate me. Anyway, the canoe, you've got like a paddle that's just like one-sided and each person has it like on either side of the boat. And if you're like alone, it's like impossible. But you have to like steer backwards, and then a kayak, you have like the two-person thing and you go Wow, Mrs. Talbot, we're really glad that you're not like an outdoor sports teacher and instead you're just a math teacher. Yeah. Anyway, canoes are wider and have an open, anyway, sorry. I don't know why I found that to be so fun. Okay, where was I? Oh, yes. Look, a canoe is actually cheaper if we rent one for a long enough period of time. Okay, here is the canoe rental chart. Shh. Okay, what is the chart going up by? $6. And what is the setup fee? 9. Okay, now both equations equal y, correct? So that means that we can equal them to each other. Equal values method. Okay, so we got x. And now we're going to plug it back in and get y. I'm just going to plug it into this one because it's over here. Okay, so I know that these two lines, if I graph them, they would cross at 221. I'm not going to graph them. But the last thing I want to do is say, what on earth did I just find there? I mean, other than the fact that there's two lines and I found where they cross at 221, what did I find in terms of kayaks and canoes? Yeah, exactly. You're correct. Both of you are correct. So this is time. This is money. So at 2 hours, both will cost $21. After that, kayaks become more expensive. And before that, canoes were more expensive. That's it. Okay, you guys have time. Do your homework so that you don't have weekend homework.